fiends. We're here to listen to the devil's work, and we're talking about the Vladimirs, the only 7-inch they ever put out, here tonight on the Midnight Chamber. Holy shit, the Vladimirs. If you do not know this band, okay, well, they're a little nichey, but that's because they were always really considered a side project. But they formed in 1995. And by Marquise Thomas, Ash Thomas, Brian Day, and Doug Neville. Yeah, I believe that's who all was in the band. But they formed in 95, and some of you might know Ash Thomas is, I believe, one of the guitarists from Estuary. So he was kind of pulling, some shit in a really, really big, brutal death metal band. I'm talking like touring the world status. So, but the Vladimirs still managed to put out 5 records and 1 7-inch and a couple compilations. I mean, it's a pretty good discography for, being as, I'm not going to say patchy, but like just maybe one album every 3-4 years. I think 5 years was the most between Serpent Girls and The Late Hour. But right around 2000, which would have been maybe around the time Night Gallery came out, their second record, they put out this beast of an album. 2 songs, The Devil's Bride, came out on the just completely underrated and fairly obscured Reanimator Records, which I have to do just a label showcase on Reanimator. To me, it was just absolutely pivotal. I love this label. Came out in 2000. I don't know the pressing on this particular album, but it wasn't high. I'm almost sure of that. Probably no more than 100, I would say. So let's cut right now, take a look at the 7-inch, and then we'll get right back. All right, Monster Kids, here we go. Vladimirs, The Devil's Bride. To me, the Vladimirs logo is just as iconic as, say, Blitzkid's logo, the Crimson Ghost. I mean, it's the Misfits even. Yeah, I'm going there. It's just as iconic, at least to me, at least to anyone who's been into horror rock for any length of time. So, there's the front. There's the back. Just the 2 songs, The Devil's Bride and Suicide. And the inside is a big old thing. A good shot of the band. And this was Marcus before he had a beard. Which, anything past maybe like 03, he's going to have a beard on. There's everyone in the band. Oh, pardon me. Ash was not the guitarist. He is the drummer. So he's the drummer of Estuary. So there's that. Now for the actual vinyl. We've got this gorgeous red. Look at that Reanimator logo. Just fantastic. And there's the B-side. Look at catalog number 16 from Reanimator. And there you go. The Devil's Bride. Enjoy, fiends. Man, doesn't it just it fits the whole package just fits so well. So just Vladimirs were just kicking ass. I found out about the Vladimirs, like I did a whole lot of bands, through Blitzkid's website. This was back when they had a GeoCities website, if anyone actually that's younger than me knows what GeoCities was. Their GeoCities page, like a lot of the smaller bands, they had a links section on the website, and it was just full of all the bands they played with that weren't dicks, especially all of the same scene. And I mean, I found out about the Green Goblin Project through that, Pagan Holiday, the Vladimirs. They had a lot of links on that page. I don't remember. Maybe the Graveyard Boulevard. There was a lot of bands on it, and this was one of the bands that I found out about. And in the early 2000s, it was really, really hard to get a hold of Vladimir's merchandise, especially their records, let alone, you know, anything else, t-shirts, patches. You pretty much had to go to shows. And people weren't really advertising for shows online a whole lot. It was still really, really heavy flyer based. Had to go to a show. Maybe somebody'd have a flyer, or you'd be walking around to local record stores in Cincinnati or Dayton, maybe if you were lucky, and there'd be a flyer at a music store or a venue or on a telephone pole. Some cities, some of the cities with more clubs had bulletin boards where you could advertise for your shows, which was cool. But I found out about them through Blitzkid. Yet again, I'm telling you, Blitzkid was like super, super important to me. And like they were a lot of people, but me personally, damn. Now, how I got this was the first release I ever got from the Vladimirs. And this is a really cool story, I think. So, I bought this off of TB from Blitzkid. It was just before Blitzkid's first European tour. So that first Hell Nights tour with the Spook and whoever else was on that, probably the Other and the Crimson Ghosts. I was right before that. TV was trying to get money together, so, you know, European tours were definitely, they barely had label support. I know Antidote didn't do anything for them. They had just signed to Fiend Force, because Fiend Force was, you know, putting that tour on, but they had to get over there. So TB went through his record collection and just started selling stuff off that he didn't really listen to a whole lot to people he knew. And in this case, I bought just a whole pile of Reanimator Records stuff. I got this. I got a couple of Mazinga 45s, which Mazinga is Big Tony O'Farrell, the artist. It's his band from the 90s and early 2000s. Let me think here. I think I got a Sex, really, really good, like, Scandinavian horror punk. I think I got one of their 45s. I don't know. But I know that this was in the pile that I bought from him. And I ended up buying stuff from him and then burning him a whole shitload of CDs so he had something to listen to on the way over. And it was, you know, it was eye-opening. At that point, I was a huge Misfits fan. And, you know, realizing that the horror music had all kinds of different levels. There was the more metal influenced stuff, and, you know, whatever. I was young, younger, definitely. I was maybe 20 at the time. 20 from rural Ohio, mind you. We didn't exactly have, like, access to lots of records. I pretty much had to, I didn't hang out with any metalheads, and the punkers I knew, I mean, they were into mostly poly-punk. So all we got was bands that we played with or went to see shows for. So I didn't really have anyone to get me into metal and whatnot. Of course, there's a story behind me finding out a bunch about metal, which I'll get into it someday. But in this case, the Vladimirs definitely opened my eyes. And Marcus is, the lead singer, is a super cool guy. I think I was at a Reanimated show one time, and he just gave me a Vladimir's pin that had the late hour artwork on it. I think it's still on one of my traveling bags. It's fucking cool as hell. Super nice guy. But damn, this 45, and like I'm so happy that this is still in my my record collection, because not only did, you know, a friend sell it to me, that friend was in Blitzkid, and it's also a pretty good record that is really, I'm not going to say overly difficult to find. I honestly don't remember if there were any listed on Discogs or not. I'm probably going to say no. I don't think this was a really high pressing, and most Vladimirs fans really hold on to their stuff. That being said, there is a Vladimirs Etsy store where I think they have most of the albums still available. Probably not huge quantities, but I know that stuff is still available. So you're probably wondering what the sound is now that I've rambled on for like 10 minutes. It's punk, it's metal, it's goth rock, it's everything squished together and thrown into a blender. Thematically, they definitely fall a little more into the horror rock line, but I dare say that I may not. They're definitely not. They started this their sound, not the horror punk sound, the horror rock sound. They started the Vladimirs sound before there was even a remotely a scene. They were just bands that did the horror thing, and they never followed any of the tropes too much. I mean, there's woes in this stuff. Believe me, it's there. There's a good reason they get lumped in with horror punk. So much more though. I mean, there's a lot of metal mixed in, and a lot of goth rock. So I mean, if you like a good combination of pretty much a lot of the major subgenres all squished together. I mean, the vocals are clean. They're going to be clean. They get a little harsh, but not like death metal harsh. You know, it's not like you're going to be listening to the third or fourth Lurking Corpses records where it goes from a horror punk song straight into a death metal song. It's nothing that bipolar. I think it brings a lot more of like the goth metal thing into it. There's a lot of atmosphere, and it's got that good underground feel. With good production, you're not going to be getting some shitty black metal production on this. Really, just really good. I wish they would have done more 45s in this, but Reanimator was a special label. They didn't do a lot of CDs. They mostly did a lot. They did a lot of 7 inches. But they put out at least 2, maybe 3 Vladimirs releases. They did this 45, Night Gallery, and they might have done So Fine Concubine, which was an EP, right after the first record, or maybe right after Night Gallery, somewhere right in there. But anyway, if you can, you can get all the rest of the records. This particular release you may not be able to get. But tracks, you know, you can probably find it on YouTube. I would track it down if you can, because it's a great listen. Just a couple of songs, but just killer all the way. And just, I mean, look at that artwork again. Look at it. Kick ass. Good Ohio underground, good Ohio metal, which believe me is hard to come by, and I know people will argue with me on that one, but Ohio metal, I have experience there, and believe it is hard to come by. So, and this fills that area in between punk and metal, and throws in the pedigree of Ohio goth, which I'll have to get into the Ohio goth scene at some point. And the Vladimirs kind of bridge the gap between all of that. So, yeah, get in there, check them out. And I will see you next time on the Midnight Chamber.